back to another episode of A Lady's Garden. I just wanted to share an update of the pine tree. It's gone. It's all removed. The stump and all. I'll show a little quick clip and a couple pictures I took of that area while we worked on it. He got the tree down, everyone. There it is. And there's the 4-foot stump we'll take care of later. But at least the partially dead pine tree, which is on its way out anyway, is gone. Now we have new ideas for this spot, but we'll take care of that another day. Hi everyone! This is to show you determination can get you where you need to go. We didn't have a stump grinder, but I was determined, and my boys helped me, and we slowly hacked around these roots, and then we shimmied it right out of its place. Okay, bye for now. So I am happy that we did remove it. Once we started to dig around the base of the tree, we realized how soggy some of the roots were, and that really shouldn't be the case. I mean, it shouldn't be so easily broken. Once I started to dig at the roots, they were breaking rather easily. Don't get me wrong, there were some roots that were as big as a forearm, a teenage child's forearm, and so that one was a little scary. But we just used a saw and we just carefully just kept clipping at roots and sawing at the bigger roots, and eventually we were left with, you saw how tall in the picture the stump was, but it gave enough leverage that when my husband and the boys pushed carefully, they were able just to push it out. It did fall on that middle boxwood, but he bounced right back very nicely, and then we were able to get it out, and I came back in and I put all the dirt back in. It's very soft over there, as you can imagine, but the plan is, I think I would want another tree here. It just looks, I suppose it's because of the positioning of the evergreens and the perennials there, and because I did plant everything around this tree as a little focal point, so now it kind of telling me, oh, put another tree back there. But plants can be moved. I don't like to move plants when they're quite as established as I know these boxwoods are, but the little one over there, it's kind of hurting. But as we've seen in my past videos, sometimes boxwoods go through periods like this and then they bounce right back. But I can see myself putting another tree back in its place. It definitely will not be a very large tree. It might be a multi-trunk tree. I can see that there. But it'll be a dwarf or a smaller tree, just to give an accent, but not to cast a lot of shade. Most of the shade comes from these trees here. And they're coming back to life. Let's see if I can pan up. And I show you all the pretty leaves that are coming out. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's lovely. So the shade comes from these trees. We have lost branches on these over here as well, but I don't want any of these trees to go. I really don't. So I do diligently fertilize around the bases of the tree, fertilize this entire area actually with the Plantone, so I know the trees are getting some of it as well. But everything over here looks pretty nice. I'm very happy with it. And then yeah, so we'll keep an eye out for a pretty tree. We'll do some research and we'll see what we can find for this area. But let's take a look at other areas that we're working on as well. Here are the containers. Originally, the plan was to put flowers on the end containers and reserve the middle container for a crop, a tomato or a bush bean or pepper. I decided to reverse that. So the two end containers will have the crops, and then the middle container will have the flowers. I do have a dahlia bulb from the pom-pom mix remaining. So one bulb went just at the side of this lovely little ground cover. Italian oregano. So one bulb's in there. kind of off to the side. I didn't put a stake in there. And the other bulbs are actually in the circle garden. So with one bulb being in this container, I'm going to plant a couple seeds around the bulb. I keep saying bulb, it's actually a tuber. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to actually plant a couple seeds around the tuber as well. Hopefully they all like each other and they can play well in this one container. I'm thinking it should be sufficient. But let's take a look at the circle garden as well. So here we are in the circle garden. All of the stakes, and there's my shadow. Hi. All of the stakes are where I planted the tubers. My alliums did not come up this year. Not a lot of them. I have 4 allium stalks that I see. You can see one is right there. And then another over there. So 1, 2, 3 allium stalks. I cannot believe it. And everything else is just a dud. Nothing came up. I'll flash a picture of what they looked like last year, and it was so pretty. But you know how it is with plants. Hopefully the tubers of the dahlias come up. I am looking forward to that. I think it'll be very lovely to see those just bopping along over this green hedge. And if I step back, you'll see I did complete my chore. I did trim down the boxwood hedge. I focused more on the side closest to the house because that side was a little more wild than the side that's actually in the sun right now. So I tried to even it up to make it look less, because there's a slope. So I tried to manipulate it where when you're standing here, it actually looks like it's level ground just by trimming the boxwoods, if that makes sense. I think I did a pretty good job. And I used shears. I didn't use a power trimmer or hedge trimmer. I just used shears, and I went around the boxwood hedge just trying to even everything up. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Let's take a look here again. But, you know, hopefully everything comes in. I'm excited and hopeful. I really want to see dahlias in this area. I think it would look pretty. And if it does well, you know, I might just forego the idea of eventually putting Gora. That was my other idea, to put in this section. And we'll just reserve it for dahlias. I'm thinking about putting a couple zinnia seeds because they definitely came up for me the first try I did them. They came up. I'll put a picture of what they look like as well here. But they did come up, and it was pretty. It was very pretty. So I did go ahead and I got the hydrangeas for this area, but instead of getting little lime, I decided to get bobo hydrangeas because they grow a little smaller. Little lime is a smaller shrub compared to limelight hydrangea, which is the regular size shrub. I've seen that got to be about 10 feet tall, which is just so beautiful. But for this area, I don't need something 10 feet tall. And little lime, they can grow, I've seen them grow to about 5 feet tall. Well, this is a little smaller. I think the tag's at 3 to 4. So I'm pleased with this purchase and this area with the selection of plants. I was thinking also of dressing up the blank wall, the concrete. I don't want to stain it. That's out of the question. But I do want to find possibly some sort of trellis that I can stake into the ground but lean up against a wall. Sort of like this area, my sitting area, where I have that trellis as a focal point, just to bring some, I don't know, I wouldn't say pizzazz, but to bring some interest to that area, because it would have been a blank wall. So I create focal points with trellises in my garden. If you take a look at the garden as I kind of toured around, you'll see almost like little vignettes. There are multiple focal points in my garden. Possibly, I feel like because the garden wasn't created all in one swoop. I've been living in this home with my family for almost 15 years, and this garden has been in its development for 15 years. So as we've gone through the seasons, a garden would develop, and then I almost, not intentionally, but I create a focal point. So I have a lot of little vignettes in my garden, which I love. I wouldn't change a thing. I do. I love it very much. However, back to this area. So here we are. I'm thinking of a lattice, some type of lattice structure, but I don't want a tight lattice. I want more of an open feel lattice. I've actually seen some trellises where you can actually hang them on a wall, and this is their purpose, to be hung on a wall, and then you have the plants grow up. So the plants create a beautiful backdrop to whatever blank wall. Well, my intention is not to have anything grow on them, just to use it as a backdrop for the hydrangeas. So when they're sleeping in the winter, you still have something kind of interesting against this blank concrete wall. I was thinking of actually painting it on the wall, but that's too much of a commitment, and I don't want to. Not that I couldn't, I don't want to. So I rather have something that I can remove if ever I didn't like it there anymore. But I guess the first thing I should do is probably plant these plants before it gets too late. So that's it for now. This short video. We'll keep giving updates, and I'll keep showing you guys what I do and how everything's going on. Oh, before we forget, here is the garden beds that I wanted. I don't know if you can tell, the grass is growing in. This one, a little bit more than that one. But I think I just sprinkle a bit more seeds in those patches. So I'm really happy that's growing in. We do have rain ahead later in the week. So I think it'll be a good time just to get the grass seeds on the ground and get them growing, hopefully. But yeah, so I'm going to finish up planting. I'm going to finish up planting the containers. We're going to start researching for a tree for this area, and I will see you guys in the next video.